Thank you, everybody, for joining this webinar or watching the recording. Thank you. My name is Samuel. I'm joined today by my colleague, Kristen. We are doing this Tytan Professional webinar talking about 3 ways to reduce costs on installation jobs. So ways that you can reduce costs or be more efficient with installation projects. All right, so the agenda, it's pretty simple, simple agenda for this webinar. So we'll look at who Tytan is, some key cost areas, and then common mistakes that cause waste or rework. So you can imagine if you're having to go in and do a bunch of rework, that's going to increase your cost, not reduce the cost. Okay, Kristen, could you tell everyone a little bit more about Tytan and our products?
Sure. Tytan Professional is our brand within the Selena Group. We are a single source manufacturer of sealants and adhesives. On the left, you can see our foam sealants line that includes fire block. We have gun applicator versions, and then also some that have straw applications, window and door, a general purpose filling foam called Fill All, RV and automotive, and then we have some specialty adhesives here, drywall adhesive, subfloor adhesive. And then one of our newest products that we've launched here in the middle, which is ThermoSpray, which is a thermal and acoustic insulation foam.
All right, thank you, Kristen. Okay, so for insulation contractors, if you think about it, where is most of their cost for their job? Where most insulation contractors are carrying costs, you can see it's labor. Labor is a big one. Obviously, you got to have a crew applying this stuff. Maybe for one job, you might need 2 installers or 10 installers, depending on the project. All the supplies involved, so that includes, PPE, products like ours, all sorts of different supplies. And then if you're having to go in and do any rework, like I mentioned, or fixing up stuff that didn't pass the inspection, that's a huge cost. You're starting to really eat into whatever margin you had for that job. That's kind of a pain. And so areas we would recommend you kind of consider if you're looking to save on cost for the job, one of them would be getting the right training on the product use. Our products are pretty straightforward to use, I think. But, getting that right training involved, understanding the right techniques to use. A big one is picking the right product for the application. I've seen jobs where people decided to use fire block foam throughout the whole house everywhere instead of window and door foam, and that caused problems. They had to go back in and tear out the foam and put the right foam in. So if you want to pick the right product for the first time, and then you obviously want to pass that inspection. And so if you do all that, you're going to save a lot of money, because any fixing or rework is really going to eat into your margins, like I said. Okay, Kristen, could you kind of walk through this one?
Yeah, so one of the mistakes that are often made is not shaking the can. So the common misunderstanding is that you can just pick it up off the shelf and start using it immediately, that it doesn't need to be shaken. And so this also occurs when somebody is using it and then they set it down to go to lunch and they come back and the can also needs to be reshaken after that period of time. And so you can see this image here on the right where this is what it looks like inside of the can. So the gases sit heavily on the top, and if you don't mix it completely, the product composition does not behave correctly. So in order to avoid this mistake, which causes the material to not cure properly, not behave properly, the components inside the can need to be shaken for 30 to 45 seconds to fully mix the materials inside. And as I, said a second ago, if the components are not mixed properly, the foam does not cure properly. There's times where I've seen it cure unevenly or not cure at all, or creates a lot of holes within the material. So, again, first piece here is to ensure that you're shaking properly. And reshaking, if you take a break, is very important. So the mistake number 2 is not enough water or humidity. Our products cure by moisture in the air. So if that moisture does not exist, then the foam does not cure properly. So if you're applying foam in extremely dry or desert environments without adding water, you can see on the right how it causes a lot of holes in it. Again, this will also cause certain parts to maybe not cure at all on the very inside. And we see this even if you're in an enclosed space, even if outside has a high level of humidity, but you're doing a job on the inside of a building that has no access to any sort of moisture, the material might not cure properly. So it's recommended that you spray a light spray of some sort of water to the surface before and after spraying the foam. Our foams are tested with about 50% relative humidity. So once you go below that amount, it can cause the formula to not behave as it should. And then that's where you'll see if you start cutting into any of this material, it's got a lot of holes and, it's not maintaining its structure properly.
All right. Thank you, Kristen. Okay. Yeah. So some other, some other mistakes that can kind of cause some problems. I mentioned picking the right product, but not using the right technique can cause an issue as well. And so sometimes people are trying to insulate a gap in the wall. Maybe it's a pipe penetration or something, and we'll look at a picture here in just a minute. But typically you want to fill the gap from the bottom up. One issue is that people try to fill gaps from the top down and the foam can just fall. So you want to, the best term we can use is you want to stack the foam on top of itself from the bottom up in kind of a zigzag pattern. Because the foam typically needs some kind of base to rest on. You can't just spray it into some, bottomless void. If it's just a small amount of foam, sometimes you can, but if you're trying to fill a big space, you want to fill it from the bottom up. And so you can see, these are screenshots from a video where we talked about this, but you can see how we're stacking. We spray one bead at the bottom, and then you kind of zigzag it upwards. So you can see at number 4 at the bottom, now that gap is full. But yeah, this is just a hole in the wall. This is on a new build, not far from our office here in Texas. This is kind of like where the dryer vent goes. And there was like just a hole in the wall, so we were fire blocking it. So that another one is using inefficient systems where you know, if you use a system that's a little bit more efficient, you can reduce the cost. And so a lot of professional installation crews are still using these 2-component foam systems. And, you know, you can get these at like a lot of hardware stores. So the issue you run into is when you're trying to insulate a smaller space, maybe less than 500 board feet or less than 200 board feet, where you might not use one of these 2-component kits. You might not use the whole thing. You might have some left over and you have to throw it away, or you want to reuse it the next day and the line seize up on you. And so we developed this thermospray product. It's much lower cost per board foot, and it's just more efficient as far as from job to job. You can replace and or repair 2-component foam systems with this product, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that's it as far as mistakes that can kind of cause increased costs. So if you address these mistakes, you could definitely reduce your cost per job. So I recommend you check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We post a lot of other videos there as well. You'll see me on there talking about different installation topics, construction projects and jobs. We get a lot of comments and questions. I respond to a lot of those as a video, so I recommend you checking that out. And then as a reminder, we are a single source manufacturer of these products. We're one of the top 4 largest producers of polyurethane foam. And you can see we've got a couple different types: fire block foam, used to prevent draft air from fueling the fire from room to room; window and door foam for sealing windows and doors; multi-purpose foam sealant we call fill-all; our RV and automotive black foam that's used on the undercarriage of a lot of RVs and other automotive related sealing. Also, our thermospray product, which I just talked about, it's just an easy spray foam insulation in a can. And then our foam adhesives that are used by a couple other trades, including drywalling and framing. And then on the right, you can see our gun applicators, our cleaner, and we have a hybrid mastic duct sealant as well called Coat and Seal. All right, so thank you everybody for watching this webinar. We hope you're able to follow some of these tips and reduce your cost on your construction jobs, and then you can kind of keep a little bit more money at the end of the day for your installation work. If you're watching a recording, thank you. And also thank you to my colleague Kristen for participating in the webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Samuel.